Hello, my name is Nathan Winter, here at Dominic Winter Auctioneers in Cirencester in the Cotswolds in England. I'm here with my colleague Susanna Winters, and I'd like to introduce you to some of the books we will be included in our auction sale on the 14th of December from the library of the author Richard Adams, famously best known for his Watership Down. Perhaps, Susanna, you could tell me a little bit about Richard's life and his interest in collecting books and bibliomania in one way or another.
Yes, well, Richard Adams was immersed in books from a very young age. His parents fostered this interest, read to him when he was a very small child, and he himself was reading avidly before he was 8 years old. So he was brought up in a culture where books were everywhere, and he was encouraged to read anything really, even if it wasn't particularly child orientated. So some of his favourite books as a child were the Dr. Dolittle books, yes. By Hugh Lofting. And of course he read the obvious things like A. Milne, Wind in the Willows, which was a favourite, Rudyard Kipling, Walter de la Mare, all sorts of things really, anything and everything.
Presumably it was in later life that he came to have the means to, feed this interest in owning rare and early first editions of these classic works of literature. And I believe his library grew and grew and grew until it could barely be contained in the house, in his home.
That's right, because he first of all built up a library in his home on the Isle of Man, and then when he moved to Whitchurch in Hampshire, to the lovely house Spen Wells, he then continued to build it up then, and it was a vast cube-shaped room, very high ceilings.
I remember going to it with you.
Yes, and it was
an
amazing place, just full lined floor to ceiling with all sorts of books, a working library which housed amazing treasures.
As well as rarities. Yeah. Well, shall we have a little look at a few of these? Perhaps you can sort of just show me a few of them, sort of titles that catch your eye or that relate to his sort of literary enthusiasms generally.
Well, there's the set of Jane Austen,
just here.
First editions, all in matching bindings. Emma was a constant source of joy to him. It was a book he came to, I think, when he was serving during the war, and just kept going back to it really. Meant a lot to him, and he enjoyed all of her works.
Yes.
So for him to own them all in first edition,
was
a real thrill.
And the whole set will be sold as one unit. That's quite a rare occurrence in the book market, to have the opportunity to buy all Austen's famous novels in their first edition status edition and in a matching binding. What else catches your eye?
Well, obviously the Shakespeare second folio, which is here. Lovely copy in a contemporary binding. Yeah,
so it's the second edition of Shakespeare's works, 1632. First edition is 1623. This is more complete. There's more plays in this edition than there was in the first, by some margin actually. One or two of the early leaves are in facsimile, but very careful facsimile, as is often the case with these early folios. But generally speaking, it's a handsome copy, with decent margins and no deterioration to worry about. It's also in an early, or fairly early binding, isn't it?
It is, yes.
What date would you put on that?
I think it's contemporary or near contemporary.
Yeah. Maybe perhaps it's just yes. No, I think that's right. I think it's definitely 17th century, or perhaps later 17th century, in my opinion. I think there are a few other things perhaps we could point out. One would be the rare first edition of Milton's Lycidas, 1638, a poem on the death of his friend Edward King, who died by drowning the year before.
That's right.
He had the Latin and then the English text, following one another. But again, this is a rare book of which there are only a few dozen copies are known in the world. That's one thing.
And only a few, very few left in private hands.
Yes, yes, yes. Anything else you want to look at and want to point out?
Well, there's
There's
lots of
lots
lovely
of them.
things. We haven't got time to mention all of them now, but there's lots of the classics. So we've got Shelley, beautifully bound.
Yeah.
We've got
Coleridge.
Eliot, Coleridge, John Clare.
Lots of
We've got
Dickens. Yeah. Alice is mentioned in Wonderland. And then some nice Johnson, Boswell's Johnson in a fine binding. The Rambler, also in a fine binding. The Gilbert White's Natural History of Selborne in an arts and crafts binding by Douglas Cochrane, which is beautiful. And other major items of great appeal to the book collecting world. So we hope you enjoy that, and we look forward to seeing you at the sale on the 14th of December.